Donny Osmond and his son Chris helped save Draper Days last Saturday night.
We've seen Donny Osmond do just about everything. He's been a teen idol, a chart topper, a TV host, and he's even won Dancing with the Stars. But while the spotlight has followed him everywhere, one person has somehow stayed completely out of it: his wife. Yep, Donny's been married for over 45 years. And some fans don't even know her name. What, where's she been? And what's the real story behind this super private love? Donny just gave us answers, and trust us, it's not what you expected. The love story that started it all. Before Donny Osmond ever said, "I do," he was already a superstar. But long before wedding bells and red carpets, there was a teenage crush that changed everything. Donny met Debbie Glenn when he was just 16 years old, and she was 15. She was dating his brother at the time, and they even built something of a friendship. But being his brother's girlfriend did not stop Donny from falling for her. In fact, he later joked that he stole her from his brother, and he knew he was going to marry her while on a double date. That realization hit him during an Elton John concert. As the music played and the spotlight hit the stage, Donny found himself more focused on Debbie than the performance. When Elton began playing Your Song, Donny looked over at her and had a sudden, unshakable feeling that she was the one. Despite the awkwardness of the situation, given that Debbie was there with his brother Jay, Donny couldn't ignore what his heart was telling him. That moment stayed with him for years and turned out to be the beginning of a love story that would last a lifetime. And he once told People magazine that Debbie didn't care about his fame, and that was what made her so special. While girls were screaming his name across the world, Debbie just saw a normal guy, and that's exactly what Donny needed. As luck would have it, Debbie and Jay broke up, which left her available for Donny to woo. Guess his charm worked because Debbie agreed to be with him, and they dated in secret for a while because Donny's team didn't think it was a good idea. At the time, he was a teen idol. His image was all about being available to his fans. If word got out that he was in love, it might hurt his career. Or so the people around him thought. Still, Donny followed his heart. After dating Debbie for about 3 years, they got married on May 8, 1978. Donny was just 20, which was a very bold move, especially at a time when many young stars were told to hide their relationships. But he didn't want to live a lie. He once admitted that telling the world about Debbie nearly ended his career. He lost a lot of fans, but he also said it was the best decision he ever made. He was in love, and he didn't want to let fame get in the way of a real relationship. Now, more than 4 decades later, Donny still talks about Debbie like he's just met her. But who exactly is the woman who stole the heart of a teen idol and then quietly disappeared from the spotlight? Who is Debbie Osmond? When people think of the name Osmond, they usually think of music, television, and big performances. But when you look behind the curtain of Donny Osmond's huge career, you'll find a woman who has been his biggest supporter for over 45 years. That person is Debbie Osmond. While most fans know Donny's face and voice, fewer know much about the woman who helped build the life he treasures most. Debbie was born Deborah Glenn in Billings, Montana. She later moved to Provo, Utah, where she grew up. She wasn't a singer or a performer, and she didn't come from a famous family. Instead, she was the kind of girl who enjoyed a calm, simple life. She was a cheerleader in high school who was smart, grounded, and friendly. That's part of what caught Donny's attention. He once said he was drawn to her because she was the opposite of the showbiz world. Donny met Debbie in the early 70s, and their connection was instant, but their lives couldn't have been more different. While Donny was performing in packed stadiums and appearing on magazine covers, Debbie was focused on school and living a normal teenage life. After they got married in 1978, Debbie didn't chase the spotlight, nor did she care for it. Instead, she focused on building their home and raising their family. The couple went on to have 5 sons together, and Debbie took an active role in their lives from day one. She ran the household, made time for every game and school event, and supported Donny through all the highs and lows of show business. But Debbie's story doesn't stop at being a mother and wife. She's also a talented businesswoman. Over the years, she developed a love for interior design. She had an eye for color, layout, and creating beautiful spaces. In fact, she later turned that passion into a business. She and Donny teamed up to start a home furnishings company called Donny Osmond Home. It features stylish, comfortable furniture and home decor items, with a focus on making homes feel warm and welcoming. While Donny lent his name and vision, Debbie played a major role in designing and curating the collection. The two worked as a team, combining Donny's public presence with Debbie's creativity and good taste. Debbie's influence on Donny's life can't be overstated. In multiple interviews, Donny has credited her with keeping him grounded and sane through the whirlwind of fame. He once said, "Debbie is my rock. She's steady, she's strong, and she doesn't get caught up in the chaos." He also called her the most selfless person he's ever known. According to Donny, she always puts family first and has a calming way of helping him see things clearly, even during stressful times. Whether it was a career slump or a personal challenge, Debbie has always been the quiet voice of reason by his side. Donny, the teen idol we grew up with, before he could even ride a bike, Donny Osmond was already learning how to perform. Born in 1957 in Ogden, Utah, Donny was just 5 years old when he made his debut on The Andy Williams Show, where he charmed audiences with his sweet smile and clear voice. By the time most kids were learning their times tables, Donny was already a star. He rose to fame as the youngest member of the Osmonds, which was a musical group made up of his older brothers, Alan, Wayne, Merrill, and Jay. The family band was a hit in the early 1970s, mixing pop and rock with tight harmonies and clean-cut looks. They were seen as the all-American boys, and Donny quickly became the standout. In 1971, everything changed. Donny's solo career took off with the release of Sweet and Innocent, and the world went wild. Teenage girls screamed his name everywhere he went. He was just 13 years old. Songs like Puppy Love and Go Away Little Girl turned him into a teen idol almost overnight. Magazines couldn't get enough of him. His face was on posters, lunchboxes, and album covers all over the world. But with all that fame came a lot of pressure. Because he was not just a singer, but a product. Every move he made was watched and judged. His hair, his clothes, even his smile had to be just right. He was expected to be squeaky clean all the time, a role model for young fans and a golden boy for the media. So, of course, behind the scenes, that pressure started to take its toll. Donny was still just a kid, but he was working non-stop. He was traveling, performing, doing interviews, filming shows, and smiling through it all. There was little time for himself, and everything was about keeping the image alive. That image was a very specific one. The thing is, Donny was marketed as the perfect, wholesome bachelor. Someone every teenage girl could fall in love with. That meant he had to appear single and available at all times. Falling in love in real life wasn't part of the plan. It might have ruined the fantasy that millions of fans had built around him. So, when Donny started secretly dating Debbie Glenn at age 16, it created a storm behind the scenes. His management team and even his father was worried. They feared that if fans found out he was in a serious relationship, it would destroy his popularity. Some even warned him that his career might end. But Donny didn't let that stop him. He kept seeing Debbie, even though they had to keep it private for years. Even after they got married in 1978, Donny faced backlash. Fans were heartbroken. His record sales took a hit. In fact, he later admitted that going public with his marriage nearly ended his career. But he said he would do it all over again, because choosing Debbie meant choosing a real life, not just a famous one. Still, fame didn't exactly slow down. After the Osmonds' popularity started to fade, Donny had to reinvent himself. He starred alongside his sister Marie on Donny and Marie, a variety show that became a huge hit. The show ran from 1976 and brought a new kind of attention. Now, instead of just singing, Donny was acting, dancing, and hosting. And so, over the years, he continued to evolve. He starred in Broadway musicals like Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, competed on Dancing with the Stars, and won, and became a regular on talk shows and in Vegas. Through every phase of his career, his fame never really dwindled, and neither did the tension between public life and private moments. Donny has always been open about the challenges of being in the spotlight for so long. He once said, "Fame is a blessing and a curse. You're loved by millions, but sometimes you just want to walk down the street without being noticed." Even when he wasn't performing, the media kept watch. Reporters wanted to know everything: where he lived, what he was doing, who he was with. Being Donny Osmond was a full-time job. And when you've been in the public eye since childhood, privacy becomes something rare and precious. This constant attention made it hard for Donny to protect the people he cared about the most. He knew that the more he shared about his personal life, the more the media would want. And for someone like Debbie, who didn't grow up in the spotlight, that was a big deal. So while the world kept asking questions about his life behind the scenes, Donny learned how to set boundaries, little by little. Fame had been his reality since childhood, but keeping some things private? That was something he had to fight for. And that battle started when he married his wife. Protecting their marriage from the public eye. Being married to a global star like Donny Osmond isn't a normal experience. From the outside, it may seem like a dream, but the reality is more complicated. The pressure, the public attention, and the non-stop curiosity can put a strain on even the strongest relationships. That's why Donny made a decision early on in his marriage to protect Debbie, no matter what. From the start, Donny saw how overwhelming the spotlight could be. He had grown up in front of cameras and crowds, with every stage of his life playing out publicly. He understood the cost of fame, the lack of privacy, the constant scrutiny, the way people thought they knew you just because they saw you on TV, and he didn't want that life for Debbie. Donny has always been very intentional about protecting Debbie from the spotlight. In interviews, he's shared how she's always been a private person, who never chased fame and doesn't enjoy being the center of attention. While she's always had his back and supported his career, she's much happier doing it quietly, from behind the scenes. So when they got married, they both agreed to keep their personal relationship and home out of the spotlight. This decision was made to protect their family's privacy and maintain a sense of normalcy away from the public's gaze. He explained that Debbie didn't sign up for the public life. He did, and because of that, he's tried to keep her away from the constant glare of cameras and crowds. Donny has made it clear over the years that he never wanted to drag her into the spotlight just because he happens to live there. Instead, he's done his best to create a safe space for their marriage. But it hasn't always been easy. Fame brings challenges that most couples never have to deal with. The rumors, the gossip, and the way the media twists stories can wear on a relationship. Donny has admitted that being in the public eye has tested their marriage. There were times when his work kept him away from home for long periods. Times when headlines tried to stir up drama that didn't exist. And times when the weight of it all made things feel overwhelming. Still, they made it through by holding tight to the promises they made early on. Donny has shared that he and Debbie made a decision from the very beginning. Their marriage would always come first. That meant checking in with each other regularly, having honest conversations, and staying connected even during the busiest times. Their faith has also played a big part in keeping them grounded. Both Donny and Debbie are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and over the years, their beliefs have helped shape the way they see marriage and family. It gave them a strong foundation to stand on during the tough moments. Donny has shared a few times how their faith helped them stay focused on what truly matters. While the world might be pushing for fame and success, their belief system reminded them to prioritize things like family, love, and service. That mindset helped them keep their values front and center, no matter what was happening around them. Even in the busiest seasons of his life, Donny always made time for Debbie. Whether that meant flying home between tour dates or turning down a job so he could be present for a family moment, he made sure she knew she was a priority. Quiet dinners at home, time spent with their kids, or even just an afternoon together doing nothing were the moments he never wanted to miss. And Debbie matched that energy. She stayed steady through it all, never shaken by fame, never needing the spotlight. She kept their home running, raised their 5 boys, and stood by Donny as his biggest supporter, even if the world rarely saw her. Building a private life. With 5 sons, with a wife that prefers to stay out of the spotlight, it shouldn't come as a shock that the couple would decide to raise their 5 sons far away from the flashing lights of fame. Instead of living in the thick of Hollywood, they chose to settle down in a quieter place, where they could focus on what really mattered: family. The Osmonds' home was never going to be just like any other celebrity household. Donny and Debbie were determined to make sure their kids didn't grow up under the pressure of the spotlight. They wanted their children to have a normal life, one where they could go to school, play sports, and hang out with friends without the constant media attention that came with being part of such a famous family. Donny has said that he and Debbie were careful about where they lived and how much their kids were exposed to the public eye. They knew their fame could be a blessing, but they also understood how much pressure it could put on their children. So, they made the decision to create a home environment where their kids could just be kids, away from the chaos of Hollywood. The family lived in a peaceful suburban neighborhood where the boys could grow up with a sense of normalcy. It wasn't like they were trying to hide their kids from the world. It was more about giving their children a chance to grow up with their feet firmly planted on the ground. The Osmonds made sure to nurture the values of faith, stability, and family, which were the things that truly mattered to them. They taught their kids the importance of being kind, respectful, and hardworking, and they always put family first no matter what. Donny has spoken often about the role faith played in his family's life. He and Debbie raised their sons with strong religious beliefs, which gave them a moral compass that kept them grounded. Donny has said that their shared faith helped them stay focused on what was truly important. For the Osmonds, fame and fortune were not the primary goal when it came to their family. They were just more concerned about building a home that was filled with love, respect, and faith. As Donny reflected on fatherhood, he often talked about how rewarding it was to raise a family with Debbie. He's mentioned in interviews that he's always felt blessed to be a dad, and that he takes pride in the relationship he has with each of his sons. Raising 5 boys was definitely not easy, but it was always clear how much he loved and treasured his family. Together with his wife, they worked hard at providing the best possible home for their children. which is not surprising, really, considering Donny had the best role model when he was growing up. His parents were deeply in love, and he watched his father love and respect his mother. His parents created a nurturing atmosphere for himself and his siblings, and this he saw as normal and effectively recreated in his own home. So, of course, Donny always talks about the importance of family as his secret sauce to parenting. He's often said that a successful marriage and family life come from putting your loved ones first, and that's exactly what he and Debbie did. They didn't let their busy careers interfere with the time they spent as a family. They made sure that even with all the pressures of fame, they kept their family unit strong and united. And now, as Donny and Debbie have become grandparents, they continue to keep family at the center of everything. Donny has said that being a grandparent is one of the most rewarding experiences of his life. It's given him a chance to step back, enjoy the little moments, and see his sons become parents themselves. Watching his children raise families of their own has been a source of immense pride for Donny and Debbie. Their legacy, in many ways, is carried on through their kids and grandkids, and they've never been more proud of the family they've built together. Still, while Donny often gets the credit, there's one person who made the whole thing possible, and she did it without the world even noticing. Debbie's impact behind the scenes. Yes, we all know and love Donny Osmond, but the truth is, he might not even be here today if not for his wife. He even admits that fact himself. While he has been the face of their family, Debbie has stayed quietly behind the curtains to ensure he remained successful. She's helped him through his darkest moments and cheered him on every step of the way. In fact, in the 1980s, when Donny's career was in a bit of a slump, he found himself struggling with anxiety and self-doubt. After being in the spotlight for so long, it wasn't easy for him to navigate the changes in the music industry. And let's be honest, being famous is tough on anyone's mental health, especially someone who got introduced to it at such an early age. But luckily, Debbie came into his life, not just as a wife, but as a rock. Donny has spoken openly about how hard that period was for him and how Debbie helped him hold it together. He said, "Debbie has given my life stability. She keeps my feet on the ground." In fact, her support was exactly what Donny needed to regain his confidence. There's one story that really captures the heart. When Donny was getting ready to perform in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, he was stressing out about getting every note and step perfect. But Debbie, calm as always, told him, "Just go out there tonight and do an average show." At first, Donny was confused. But then he realized she wasn't telling him to slack off. Instead, she was telling him to stop worrying about perfection. It was a moment of pure clarity for Donny. And sure enough, when he hit the stage, he did more than just an average show. He nailed it. He had fun, and the audience felt that energy. Debbie's perspective allowed him to embrace imperfections, and that helped him perform at his best. Fast forward to a few years later, when Donny was competing on Dancing with the Stars. It was a big deal because it was his first time dancing on national TV, and with all the pressure that comes with it. But Debbie was right there by his side, encouraging him every step of the way. She never doubted him, and her belief in him helped him push through the tough moments. Donny has said that without her, he wouldn't have been able to do it. That's loyalty right there. And guess what? He won the competition, proving that when Debbie's behind you, anything is possible. But Debbie wasn't just a support system during tough times. She's been there for Donny throughout all the high points of his career too. When he went on his Las Vegas residency, Debbie's presence always reminded him of what really mattered. She let him remain in the spotlight and do his thing, while she stood behind him to make sure he stayed grounded and focused. And that was exactly what he needed in the world of flashing lights and glitzy Vegas shows. Over the years, Donny has publicly praised Debbie for her sacrifices and unwavering loyalty. He's always the first to point out how important she is to his success, both personally and professionally. She's helped him stay balanced in a way that no one else could. In a world where fame can be all-consuming, Debbie has been the one constant that Donny could always count on. And even though she's never sought fame or attention for herself, Donny has often shared how much she's done for their family, their relationship, and his career. He's said that she's the glue that holds us all together. It's clear that Debbie's role behind the scenes is just as important, if not more so, than the performances and the applause. There's a saying that behind every successful man, there's a great woman. Well, in Donny's case, that woman is Debbie. She's been there during the ups, the downs, and everything in between. She's never asked for recognition, but Donny knows better than anyone that her influence is immeasurable. And while Donny's career has been filled with high-profile moments, it's the little moments with Debbie that have kept him going all these years. Without her, Donny might have had the fame, but he wouldn't have had the peace of mind and stability that comes from having someone like Debbie by his side. And that, in the end, is the greatest success of all. A marriage that breaks the Hollywood mold. In Hollywood, long marriages are about as rare as quiet red carpet events. They just don't happen often. But Donny and Debbie Osmond have pulled off something truly special. They've been married for over 44 years, and their love story keeps going strong. We live in a time when relationships crash and burn in a flash, but these two have shown that lasting love is possible, and it's powerful. And their relationship is so precious and quite different from many others because they chose to protect it. They've never drowned us in flashy photos or overshared. Instead, their love has grown quietly, away from cameras and constant attention, and their decision to keep things private has helped them build a strong foundation. It's clear that they don't need the world to see everything, because what does the world know? All they truly need is each other. And after all these years, Donny still talks about how lucky he is to have Debbie. He's called her strong, wise, and loving. He often shares how much he's learned from her, especially when it comes to staying grounded. He knows that fame can be exciting, but it's the intimate moments at home that mean the most. Debbie helped him remember that. One of the keys to their success has been putting each other first. It sounds simple, but in an industry full of distractions, it's a big deal. Donny has said they made choices based on what was best for their family and not what would get the most attention. That kind of partnership doesn't come from luck, but from love, effort, and real respect. And over the years, people have wondered how they've managed to stay so strong while so many other celebrity couples split up. The answer is quite simple. They don't treat their marriage like a show. When you hear Donny talk, you know their marriage is one of the most important things to them. From the beginning, they agreed to protect it, to grow it, and to keep working at it, no matter what came their way. Now, with kids all grown and grandkids in the picture, Donny and Debbie's love story is still going. They laugh, they support each other, and they've made it through decades of change without losing what they had at the start. They didn't just survive Hollywood, they beat the odds. They've built a life rooted in loyalty, faith, and family. Through tours, TV shows, and personal trials, they've always found their way back to each other. Even after all these years, they still hold hands like it's day one. After all these years, their love story is still going strong. But what else could we have missed about the woman behind the living icon? And what would their story look like if Debbie had been front and center with her husband under the spotlight? Leave your answers in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoy this video, please click on the next one on your screen.